Back in the day, we used to hear the phrase stacking sats all of the time, but recently it doesn't get mentioned nearly as much, and in my opinion, it probably should. Back in the day when Bitcoin was cheaper, people had this goal of stacking sats to accumulate one whole Bitcoin. But now, with price hovering around the $90,000 area, it is becoming less and less realistic for the majority of people. I mean, it is a massive sum of money. For many people, this is a pretty big down payment on a house. So in today's video, I'm going to explain why 0.1 BTC should be the new goal for the vast majority of people and how you could potentially achieve this. But the big question is 0.1 BTC really enough to be life-changing in the future? We are going to break down the math, the time frames, and give a realistic expectation of what that Bitcoin could be worth within the next decade. So if you do enjoy this video, if it is helpful, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. So before we get into the meat of the video, I just want to make one thing very clear here. The majority of this video is pretty subjective. Everybody's financial situation is different. Responsibilities, location, debt, they all play a massive factor. For example, I am from the UK, where the average yearly salary is roughly around £37,000 to £39,000 a year, which is roughly 50,000 US dollars. And this will differ from other countries around the world. So please do take these numbers with a pinch of salt and apply them to your own situation. So here is why 0.1 BTC feels like a challenging but realistic goal for not everyone, but many. At the time of recording, Bitcoin's current price is $90,000, meaning that 0.1 BTC is $9,000. Now, for most people, dropping $9,000 in a lump sum into Bitcoin just isn't happening. But if we break this down into a dollar cost averaging strategy, it becomes much more achievable. Now, just to paint the picture, if you could justify putting $200 a month into Bitcoin at the current average price, it would take you roughly around 3.5 years to reach that 0.1 BTC goal. If you are in a position to put $500 a month into Bitcoin, this would take just under 18 months. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I'm very much aware that price is not going to stay stagnant at the $90,000 mark. If the bull market was to continue at this point, Bitcoin's price would go up, making it even harder to accumulate. Or price could go even lower if this is actually the start of a new bear market. And the truth is, if you are watching this video with the idea and ambition to start accumulating Bitcoin, price going down really does work in your favor. And I do hate to break it to you, but if you clicked on this video with the idea or dream of getting rich tomorrow, then unfortunately this strategy is not for you. Building true wealth is a game of patience and doesn't involve gambling, more specifically on meme coins. So how can you actually achieve this? Now, this isn't exactly rocket science, but you are going to have to put the work in. There are three main options that personally spring to mind for me. The first one is probably what most people don't want to hear, but it is to work harder at your day job. Go and work hard for that promotion, and with the extra income, you can sink that into BTC. Do the overtime if you have that option available to you. It's boring advice, I know, but it is the most reliable way to start building up your stack. The second option is to start a side hustle. Garage sale flipping, TikTok shop, creating thumbnails for somebody on YouTube. There is always something out there for everyone if you look hard enough and really want to make it work. And lastly, which kind of ties into number two, is starting a side hustle, but more specifically in the crypto industry. You could start creating content. You could become a community manager for a project. There are many ways to make money in crypto. And no, I do not advise going straight into leverage trading. Now, again, I do completely understand that it is not always this easy due to commitments, families, bills, and so on. But if it was easy, everybody would already have 0.1 Bitcoin, which just isn't the case. And now we move on to the next big question. Why 0.1 BTC? And no, it's not just because it is a nice round number. It is a blend between what is ambitious yet still somewhat challenging, and also based on future price predictions could be life-changing one day. We hear about these $1 million Bitcoin price predictions from the likes of Cathie Wood and Michael Saylor, which do sound crazy right now. But when you look at the data, it isn't really so far-fetched if you're looking at the long term. Many people expect Bitcoin to reach the $1 million target in the next 10 years or so, meaning that the market cap of Bitcoin would roughly be around $20 trillion. Now, that does sound huge, or even to some people ridiculous, and it is a very big number, but it is still $9 trillion less than where gold is right now. And many people also predict Bitcoin to flip gold's market cap when it comes to the premium store of value, again in the very long term. You have to remember that the Bitcoin demand is going to continue to increase whilst the supply is capped, whereas with gold, the supply is technically infinite. And we all know that these investments, these long-term investments, are just one big game of supply and demand. Bitcoin is hard capped at 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created, with 95% of them already in circulation. On top of this, you also have to consider that Bitcoin supply is actually going to decrease as more people recklessly lose their hard drives and hardware wallets. Alright, so let's run the numbers. If Bitcoin was to reach that $1 million target, your 0.1 BTC would then of course be worth $100,000. And it goes without saying that $100,000 is life-changing money for the majority of people. It's an opportunity to clear debt, an opportunity for a big down payment on a house, or even one step closer to retirement. Again, this does depend on your own personal situation, but having a liquid six figures in somewhat of a savings account is life-changing for most. And this brings me to a very important point to compare where this would stand you against the rest of the people in the world. If you hold 0.1 Bitcoin right now, you are statistically in the top 8 to 10% of Bitcoin holders. Technically, you are ahead of 90% of people in the crypto space, never mind everybody else who is still sleeping on Bitcoin. That is a very, very exclusive club to be in. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Posty, what about Ethereum? What about Solana? What about other altcoin opportunities? Can I not make more money gambling on altcoins and meme coins? Now, of course, it is possible, but it is very unlikely for 99% of people. I think this cycle has proven that if you are not living and breathing crypto every single day, if you are not paying attention to those charts 24/7, you are probably best just dollar cost averaging, reducing risk, and parking your money in Bitcoin. The sad truth is that most altcoins are a PvP market, meaning player versus player. You are competing against insiders, algorithms, and people who do this for a living. And believe me, many of those people who are full-time in crypto over these last few years would have actually been better just buying Bitcoin somewhere near the lows and holding rather than being chopped up on altcoins and meme coins. The recent stories of people getting wrecked are absolutely brutal. Bitcoin is the boring play, but in this market, boring is actually good. Boring is survival. I guess it's kind of the crypto equivalent of just investing into a single blue chip stock, or maybe even the S&P 500, which for the record, if you was to put that same $9,000 into the S&P 500 and allow it to compound at an estimated rate of 10% per year, that would leave you with a rough balance of $23,500. And over a 10-year period, that is actually a great return on investment. But $100,000 from the same initial investment, that is the asymmetric bet that Bitcoin offers. Now, is this easy? No. Will price chop around and make you feel sick sometimes? Absolutely. Not that long ago, Bitcoin was at $125,000, and more recently, it hit lows of just over 80k. When it comes to crypto, volatility is the price that you pay for performance. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you are still early to Bitcoin. The early adoption phase is now over. We are seeing institutions and governments getting involved, which means those days have passed. But also, at the same time, it doesn't mean that you're late. And it does leave you asking the question, do you think that the US government are building a Bitcoin strategic reserve just for fun? Or do you think that big institutions like BlackRock are spending billions and billions of dollars on Bitcoin just to lose money over the next 5, 10, 20 years? The fundamentals have never been stronger, and if you can look at the bigger picture and see what's going on for the long term, it becomes a lot more clear. These big players are playing the long game, and if you can accumulate that 0.1 Bitcoin, you are in for the ride with them. So to wrap this one up, I do believe that the goalposts have moved over these last few years. One full Bitcoin is now just a dream for many, but 0.1 Bitcoin is a plan, and an achievable one at that. So with that said, please do let me know down below in the comments, is 0.1 BTC your goal? Are you going smaller? Are you going higher? Or are you just not accumulating any? And like I said, I know this is not easy for everyone, but it is a big decision that many people should be at least considering for their financial future. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you did enjoy this, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more crypto content like this. In the meantime, please do trade safe, please do invest safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.